the best of.
One mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah, I Bang Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
Dang it. I didn't even get a chance to get any water. So parched right now. Anyway, welcome back to One Mic with Big Mike. I am Big Mike. You're listening to me via Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm looking at Evander Holyfield. This is Evander Holyfield Mike Tyson thing on ESPN 30 for 30. I forget what it's called, but yeah, it looks like it's gonna be pretty good. These 30 for 30s are all right, and it looks like it's gonna be pretty good, but I won't be able to see it, and I forgot to DVR it, so looks like it's gonna be reruns or on demand for me. Which, you know what? I so hate having to do that when I don't DVR something and I have to on demand it, because they don't let you fast forward, and then I forget that I'm watching on demand and not DVR, and I'm hitting the fast forward, and the message comes up like, "You idiot! Why didn't you DVR me?" Basically, is what mine is telling me. Dumbass, you should have DVR'd. I know. So I'm sitting there watching commercials, and it's just, then I get distracted when the commercials come on, because then I start like reading something about, stupid sports or something, and I look away and, just to lose my place in the movie or whatever I'm supposed to be looking at. It's just stupid. Anyway, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. The number 1, MICWITHBIGMIKE. And coming up, maybe not this week. I'm going to try to get it done this week, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it done this week. I'm going to actually set up a comment line, and tentatively right now it's called The Streets is Talking. So you guys, whatever you hear on the podcast, even if you're listening to it, even if you're not listening to it live, you can call this number. You can record a comment or a question, or if you just want to say, Mike, you sound like you ugly as hell, whatever, do that. And then the next day I'll record them in to my audio program here and possibly comment on them for the next show. A little interaction, little content adder, if I can say it that way. All those things. Okay, hour number 2. Show seems to be flying by a little quickly. Tried to send a tweet just now during the commercial, and guess what? I did what my guy Alec hates when I do this. I tweeted myself on accident. I tried to reply to somebody that retweeted one of my tweets and hit reply and end up tweeting myself. It's just, I don't know. My social media game's kind of weak, man. I'm not even gonna front, man. It's not, it's not strong as it should be, and I'm working on it, man. I'm trying to work on it, but I can't get addicted to social media. I'm trying, but it's like a bad batch. It ain't doing really nothing for me yet. Maybe if I start, I have another account for my business, and that helps out. My Instagram and my Twitter for my business helps me out, immensely. But for the show, I ain't got no ducats off of it yet, so it's hard for me to be, all the way in. But I'm trying, man. I'm trying to act like I'm getting ducats off of it, so that when I do, it's just be a continuation of what I'm already doing. Feel me? Anyway. Okay, back to the situation in Missouri. If you don't know, some students in Missouri, as well as the football team, took to protesting what they considered to be racial injustices that were ignored by their chancellor and the president, Mr. Wolf, yesterday. And speaking of the chancellor, he also resigned yesterday. Chancellor Bowen Lofton, he also resigned amidst the controversy and the protest yesterday. One kid went on a hunger strike. He was on that joint for like a couple days, and the football team was like, "Oh, damn, we can't let this dude die." Well, and here's the thing, too. People keep talking about this dude dying from hunger. I don't think you can do that, like, in America, unless you're stranded in the woods somewhere. But, like, if you're on a college campus and you, like, pass out from hunger, they have to force feed you. They have to take you to the hospital. You can't decline it. They have to force feed you. So I don't know. I don't know that that's necessarily a thing or an option for you at that point. But neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. But the football team got involved at Missouri, the school, the university, and threatened to not play against BYU this Saturday. Well, that brought in the local media, or not the national media. ESPN went down there and set up shop. I read something today that news shows like Inside Edition or entertainment news shows like Inside Edition were down there, finding out what was going on. Now, then today happened, right? The aftermath, I guess. And everyone's talking about this victory. What are we talking about? Like, what? I always want to ask people, I always want to talk to people, like, what's the end game? Like, in my house, I do that all the time around here. What is your end game? For whatever it is that thing that you're broaching, that you're coming up on, what is your inevitable end game? Usually in these situations, man, when when bad stuff happens and people start rioting and things like that, I don't necessarily know that there always is an end game. I think sometimes people get surprised when the things that they're protesting actually happen. You know what I mean? Speaking of things to protest, and it seems like this is a weekly thing, and I'm going to get back to this, and it fits in. Just to kind of give you guys a look inside on how the stew is made on my end. Like, once I'm done with all the sports stuff, my homepage is like the MSN.com homepage. So I get on there, I just look to see what's going on in the world, because I kind of remove myself for a couple hours to get the show together and read up on the sports stories and get myself as acclimated to whatever is going on in the world of sports as possible. So before the show, I take a look at MSN, and lo and behold, in Milwaukee, a mentally disabled black kid gets shot 14 times by a police officer. Because apparently the kid took the police officer's baton, unarmed, shot 14 times, obviously killed, and the police officer went home. Yeah, it's becoming an all too familiar story. I'm gonna tell you like this, and I'm gonna tell anybody who's listening to me, I refuse to become numb to this. You understand? It's bull. I refuse to be, oh, there it is again. Will it happen? No. It didn't just happen. It's happening way too much. And like I said yesterday, I'm not talking about a situation of racism it's systematic. It's something going on inside the minds of some policemen that, okay, you do a dangerous job. Like, if you're not prepared to do a dangerous job and realize that it's dangerous, do something else, man. Become a baker or, be a street sweeper or something else. But certain jobs have certain risks to them. If you and it goes to training, like conflict resolution training, dealing with people with mental disabilities. Other than shooting them, 14, like if this was something that happened in just regular life, because I look at a lot of like 48-hour mysteries and Dateline and stuff like that. Like, when somebody gets shot 14 times or like stabbed 14 or multiple, a lot of times, like past death to like the point of overkill is what they call it. They call it like a crime of passion. Like, you were angry, a rage killing. Well, yeah, if you're a trained officer, you should be able to shoot somebody once or twice. And if your intent is to kill them, they should be dead. 14 times. Give me a damn break, man. Give me a break. I just need to. Like, I'm always mention that. I'm not freaking Dan Patrick. I don't know if any of y'all saw that show this morning, but they brought up this Missouri thing, and then the minute the subject of race was broached. No, that's not what we're doing. We're talking about the sports aspect to it. It's one and the same, cuz. It is one and the same. You can't choose to separate the story from what it is. It's a story about racism that football players got involved in, and it started with 30 black football players. So you telling me that you just say you don't feel comfortable talking about it as a white man. Say that, but don't pass it off on that's not what we do. Y'all look at that show enough to know y'all talk about everything. Y'all talk about stupid movies and crazy ass music, AC/DC and all the Stones and all this kind of stuff. They ain't got nothing to do with sports. But it's conversational. And this is topical. This is the topic for the day. Even one of his producers, when they do that, they're like confessionals during the commercial breaks. He talked about it. He was like, "Look, you can't really separate it. It is what it is. The issue is within the issue, right? But the king of the castle said it ain't. Pass it off. Yeah, this is why I do this and do this the way I do it. You know what I mean? Because in the realm of radio, this doesn't exist. You can't do this. You can't talk about this way. You know what I mean? Anyway, so the new talking point today was this is a spark. This is just a spark that's going to ignite the flame across the country, and the NCAA better watch out. No, they better not. They don't have to drop one bead of sweat. Because if you think, because they start talking about, kids protesting, walking out, protesting over health benefits and over, being over pay for play and all this kind of stuff. Again, if you walk out on a football game, right, or a basketball game or whatever, under the shield of we don't get paid to play this game, okay, what do you want? And how do you propose that we disperse this payment? Since you got the bright idea, what do you think should happen? You know what I mean? And no one will know nothing, right? And then to be like, okay, take your ass back to practice. You know what I mean? Like and the other part about that is too, there's no opposition to this thing at Missouri. You know what I'm saying? If in this country, in this environment right now, if you holler racism or racist, no rational person, you know what I mean? Like, unless we're talking about a flag, you know what I mean? Because then there will be an opposition. Well, it's not racist to me. I'm a son of the Confederate. My granddaddy died in that war. Okay, what do you think? What do you think Papa Jethro was fighting for? Okay, there's that. I heard something real crazy on TV the other day. They were talking about like Thomas Jefferson. They were talking about the Civil War and how a lot of those men went and died in the war because they were asked to go, not because they believed in slavery. And I was like, how do you know what somebody thinks and believes? You know what I mean? Whatever, that's foolish. He was like think about Thomas Jefferson. I think was who he referenced. Thomas Jefferson. He was against slavery, but it was his business. So if he was to free all his slaves, he'd go bankrupt. Well, how against it was he? How committed was he to that idea? You know what I mean? He wasn't. he wasn't. So don't give me that. You fought for what you inevitably believed in, even if you were made to believe in. Like at some point, if you over there in Afghanistan, you think there's a bigger picture to what you're doing. Whether there is or there isn't, it's not my call. You know what I mean? It's not for me to say. I appreciate them dudes going over there. I swear I do, because they couldn't send me. Nah, not your boy. I don't do that. I'm from a part of town where when the guns start ringing out, I go the other direction. I don't go see what's going on. I dip the other way. Okay, but whatever. So now it's this whole idea that the Missouri thing is going to spark other people in other places. This article here, Dennis Dodd from CBSSports.com says Missouri players provide a template for powerful athletes to spark change. Again, if you miss if in Athens, right here in Georgia, these kids decide they're not going to a football game until Georgia changes how strict their weed policy is, do you know the backlash and the rude, and you want to talk about racism? Yeah, it'll rear its ugly head down here. You miss that South Carolina game or that Florida game because you want more health care. Man, you better get your man. You better bounce. Crazy as hell. But that's what now people think is the new thing. You know what I'm saying? People and there are people who want other things out of sports. I heard one of those dudes, I don't know, Tony Kornheiser maybe. I think it was Tony Kornheiser while I was reading today, was talking about, you think you can ask some kid who knows he's not playing professional basketball to sit down and not play in the Final Four? Some senior who's been on this toiling team all his career, and they finally made it to a position where they could play amongst the big boys, and then you ask him to sit down? No, thank you. For what reason? What issue are we talking about here? Yeah, this is a one-off, man. It's a one-off because it was coupled by a kid saying he was going to starve himself to death. No one wants that on their books. No school wants that on their books. Whether you can die, because I'm not sure whether you can die or not from not eating. I don't know. Or I do know you can die from not eating, but like just out in public. Like if you pass out, somebody's gonna call the paramedic. They're gonna come. They're gonna start feed tubing you until you get back to health. They're not gonna let you die. They can't. It's like the Hippocratic Oath or some crap like that, right? So he's not gonna starve himself to death. But even if he gets close, you don't want that. You don't want that press as a school. You know what I mean? And you damn sure don't want to be the racist school. A couple people had comments before we go to break here. We got a couple minutes anyway. The defensive end, Charles Harris, he says, let this be a testament to all the athletes across the country that you do have power. It started with a few individuals on our team, and look what it became. Look where it's at right now. This is nationally known, and it started with just a few. Now, I read you guys that article yesterday from CBSSports.com in which they found out that about half the team was like, yeah, we just here because we own the team. Like, we'd rather be at practice like the basketball team is. No one mentioned that. The basketball team was like, the hell with you? We open the season on Friday. I'm trying to practice. I'm trying to get my jump shot straight for the first game. And again, Missouri sucks this year. Matty Mock, the quarterback that came into the season, I think he got suspended or kicked off the team. So they're dealing with the backup quarterback. They're not performing very well like the two-time SEC East champions that they were for the past 2 years. So it makes it a little bit easier. I'm not sure. Like the kid who they interviewed anonymously for the article, he ended up saying like, yeah, if we were 9-0, this wouldn't be happening. I tend to agree with him. I tend to err on that side of things, but whatever. This article goes on to say it became a national story because of the Tigers, who refused to participate in football-related activities until something substantial was done. Yeah, and the fact that so much money's involved. This is where we're at now in college sports. So when you want to keep preaching to me and hollering out amateurism, if it was truly amateurism, you'll let them miss the game. You call them on their stuff. But no. There's millions and millions of dollars to be lost. And it's still Missouri. You know what I mean? It's still a school that, wants their money. Even though they're getting $83 million a year athletically, and most of that from the football team. Gee, $83 million. The SEC's kicking in $31 million. Told you guys about this yesterday. Who else is talking? The wide receiver, sophomore kid named Jamon Moore. By the way, I did check this kid, Charles Harris. He is an NFL prospect. Jamon Moore, he's a junior. So, he's a sophomore, excuse me. So, no scouting report on him as far as the pros yet. He says the future is to let players know all around the world that they need to stand by whatever they believe in. We knew from the start change would happen. Yeah, that's cool because of the issue, because of what the issue is. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be very, very little opposition, from the masses when you start hollering out racism. People are going to be like, I don't want no parts of that. No, whatever needs to happen needs to happen. Because when I read the incidents that happened, it didn't sound to me like a culture. Now, maybe it's a situation when you go to your classes, you don't see enough black teachers that was my situation in college. I knew where I was going to school. Full disclosure, I went to school in a town called Cookville. And jokingly, the black people there, the 2% black people that were there, we called it Crackerville. Real talk. Yeah, it was a joke to us just how rural the town was. A dude on my team, I swear to be the truth, one of the coolest dudes I knew, matter of fact. White guy, real rednecky too, boy. Like cowboy boots, bolo ties, the whole nine. His daddy actually owned a cotton farm. And as far as I know, you don't necessarily just get a cotton farm. Like, I think that thing is like passed down, isn't it? So you get where I'm coming from. But the Chad was a cool dude, and me and him got along just fine. Like real good. We was good partners out there on the football field. So I'm painting this picture of just how rural the area was. There was a town next door or close by called Crossville. Yeah, it was real talk. But I guess because of the time, like we knew. Like I didn't just wake up one day and was at school. I knew where I was going to school. I knew that there were going to be some cultural hurdles, and I welcomed them. And I'm truly a better person for it. You know what I mean? I didn't need everything around me to be black. I'd done that in elementary school, from elementary school to high school, and then in college I needed something different. I need to be in the real world. So me seeing more people like me, it wasn't. I'm from Decatur, Georgia. If I wanted that, I'd just come back home for a weekend, or whatever in the off season, and I'd be good. The athletic director, Mac Rhodes. This is what he had to say, quote, primarily a young man's life was at stake, talking about the kid who was on the hunger strike. Butler is his last name. That was real. Back to the quote. That was real for our athletes. Our student athletes, they decided to get involved, and quite frankly, simply we support them, end quote. Yeah, it's this whole situation to me, by next week, it'll be forgotten. It's just my feeling. You know what I mean? Missouri junior, white. This is like a white girl, Carly Rabin. She says, quote, Mizzou is very, very, very segregated. There's a term called Black Mizzou. See? And it's, to me, that's more incumbent upon the people that go to the school. The kids, like what you want somebody to throw a black and white mixer? Is that what you're looking for? When you're talking about people taking more action to diminish racism, you do it. Like if I wanted to study for a test and be in a study group at my school, you know who I had to go study with? Yeah, a group of white people, and I learned some stuff too. Like I was in one study group. This girl, she had her asthma pump right by her pack of cigarettes. And I just looked at her one day, and I just looked at her and was like, ain't that kind of counterproductive? Like, it seemed to me like you already can't breathe, but you got a pack of cigarettes with you. That don't seem like it really is the move. And then found out some other white folk stuff. Like, white people will put on a nicotine patch and smoke cigarettes, and it makes you pass out. Because apparently it's nicotine poison. Like, you get too much in your system, but it's like an extra high. It's like, yeah. And this is where I've developed my concept that there is no such thing as being too hot for white people. No such thing. If you don't believe me, look at Drugs Inc. on National Geographic, one of my favorite shows. This is One Mic with Big Mike. I'm Big Mike. Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app is where you're hearing me. We got about 5 minutes left in this segment. Let me get through it real quick. Sonny Vaccaro, you guys know him. He's the guy who was dealing shoes back in the day, the shoe guy. He talked to John Solomon of CBS Sports. If you guys want to be up to date on anything legally in the college ranks, you want to get some good reading in on that type of stuff, John Solomon is this guy, CBSSports.com. Sonny Vaccaro says, quote, not even a guy who was starving himself. If the NCAA and their conferences do not understand what happened at Missouri today, they better stop and figure out what can happen one day when these athletes stand up for their own civil rights and don't show up for a game. I think eventually it will happen. It won't happen because people have different agendas. It's the same thing that happens with collective bargaining in professional sports. You've already divided and conquered because you got these $100 million quarterbacks, and then you've got these veteran minimum guys who was like, man, I don't give a damn what you do. Or even guys who have just blown their money. Like, I don't give a damn what you do. Get this deal done. I gotta get my money. I don't care what y'all talking about. Get this money situation situated. And then you got the other guys that's like, I don't care. I can wait all day till we get the right deal. You see now the deal that the NFL's in is a terrible deal for the players. It's hella bad. The NBA probably gonna lock their players out next year, and we'll see how that works out. Because usually, at the end of all these labor things, the rich people don't win. The wealthy people do. You want to know what the difference is? Well, if you don't know what the difference is, shame on you. This also came out. A guy for the Orlando Sentinel, writer David Whitley, he got his hands on an email from the Missouri University. It's Missouri University. It's MU. Couldn't figure that out yesterday. Finally got it today. About how to handle these things. To continue to ensure, the email reads, the subject is reporting hateful and or hurtful speech. That's pretty broad. That's hella broad. To continue to ensure that the University of Missouri campus remains safe, the MU Police Department is asking individuals who witness incidents of hateful and or hurtful speech or actions to, first of all, call the police immediately. Secondly, give the communications operator a summary of the incident, including location. Then provide a detailed description of the individual involved or individuals. Provide a license plate and vehicle description if appropriate. If possible, if it can be done safely, take a photo of the individual with your cell phone. And this is the part I love the most as we had to break here. Delays, including posting information to social media, can often reduce the chances of identifying the responsible party, And then it says, while cases of hateful or hurtful speech are not crimes, there you go. That's the big one right there. They're not crimes. Yeah, correct. If the individuals identified are students, MU's official office, of student conduct can take disciplinary action. See, that's my whole point. We gotta get out of kindergarten, man. If people hurt your feelings by the words that come out of their mouths, I learned that a long time ago, man. You can't faze me. Say what you want, man. But if I know me and I know who I am, yeah, it's a non-issue. What you're saying to me means absolutely, positively nothing.
It's the best of One Mic with Big Mike.
Welcome back to One Mic with Big Mike. Right here on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app. Make sure you guys download that and follow my show. The number one, MICWITHBIGMIKE. Use that handle. Not only for Spreaker, but for my Twitter and my Instagram as well. Guys, get on that Spreaker. Hit the little thought bubble at the bottom. You can jump in the chat room as well. Jump in the chat room with my guy Coop, my guy Matt, talking about the Atlanta Falcons right now. It's gonna be a Falcons Monday today, man. That's what they saying to the Falcons, to Matt Ryan. This could be us, but you're playing. Yeah, boy, they looking up at those Carolina Panthers. These boys ain't lost a game in over a year. They on the sidelines dabbing and all kind of foolishness, and the Falcons still got to play them boys twice. Here's the funny thing about that, though. They played the Cowboys on Thursday, which, by the way, Tony Romo is back in the building. Showed up and showed what he's worth yesterday, what a good quarterback is worth. You know how many arguments I've had with people in defense of Tony Romo and exactly how good that dude is? It's ridiculous. And now it's like what they say, you don't know what you got till it's gone. or until you see Brandon Whedon and Matt Castle, until you see that, yeah, it's exactly what's happening right now. So yeah, he came back and they won. But the funny thing is, the Carolina Panthers, who ain't lost a game in over a year, regular season game in over a year, are underdogs. Like, does Tony Romo make that much of a damn difference? That this Cam threw 5 freaking touchdown passes last week, and his team is undefeated and an underdog versus the 3-7 Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. That's got to change. I don't really know, like, all about betting and all that kind of stuff. I don't really. That ain't really my bag. But I figure as the game gets closer, as Thursday gets closer, that has to change. It doesn't make any sense. So we're going to move on here. We're going to talk about the offensive side of the football as it relates to the Atlanta Falcons. But before we do that, we'll take a look back. Do a very short version of On This Day.
Now, let's take a look back. On this day.
All right, like I say, on this day today, it's going to be, there wasn't really a lot to, I had to delete a lot of, like, stupid crap. Like, people winning, National League MVPs and all that. I don't care about that. The Iron Bowl, stupid stuff. So, without further ado, on this day in 1943, Phil's owner, William D. Cox, I'm a child, is permanently banned from baseball for having bet on his own team. See? It's not just you, Pete. It's the rules. This was in 1943. That dude's got to be dead and gone by now. On this day in 1988, the great one, Wayne Gretzky, scores his 600th NHL goal. On this day in 1989, the Bounty Bowl was played. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Dallas Cowboys 27-0 on Thanksgiving in an ill-tempered game that featured several scuffles and injuries, after which Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson accused Eagles coach Buddy Ryan of placing bounties on players. See, this has been going on forever and ever. You can find YouTube clips of Reggie White actually talking very openly to Andrea Kramer about the late Reggie White, talking about, in their defensive meeting rooms, how dudes would get money for putting cats out the game. And then it happens in, the 21st century. Well, that was probably the 21st century as well. But it happens here recently. And now everybody got to get suspended. And Sean Payton got to miss a year. And what's my man name? From Jonathan Vilma and these boys getting suspended for a year because Roger Goodell's a flaming a-hole. On this day in 1991, A-Town, stand up. Evander Holyfield TKO's Burt Cooper in the 7th round for his heavyweight boxing title. There was a boxing match this weekend, I'm assuming, I guess. A Puerto Rican and a Mexican went at it. Not really the boxing guy. That used to be my guy. Well, not used to be. He ain't dead, but it's Rob Calloway. That's his area of love and expertise. But I guess an upset happened. I don't know. Don't get me to start talking about stuff I don't know about. On this day in 1991, the Sacramento Kings in the NBA's longest road losing streak at 43 games. Damn. On this day in 1991, if you love college football, you remember this. You remember this year. Brigham Young's Ty Detmer finished his NCAA career with a record 4,031 yards passing in a season and 15,031 for a career. Yeah, that's the year Marshall Faulk didn't win the Heisman Trophy. Like, if you didn't get to see Marshall Faulk at San Diego State, shame on you. Shame on you. And I think that same year Georgia Tech won the national championship. Well, they shared the national championship with Colorado. It was 90 or 91. One of those years. I know this. It was over a decade after Georgia won theirs, or about a decade after Georgia won theirs, but no one talks about that. Ridiculous. On this day in 2001, the 53rd NASCAR Sprint Cup was won by Jeff Gordon. I left that in here because apparently Jeff Gordon retired yesterday. His final race yesterday was no storybook ending. Somebody else won the race, and Jeff Gordon did not. And finally, on this day last year, this is the anniversary of that Odell Beckham catch on Sunday Night Football versus the Cowboys. That's the only way I can describe it, the catch. Brandon Carr was trying. He interfered with him. Flags went flying, and Odell Beckham stuck one hand up while falling backwards and caught the football with 3 hands. Well, 3 hands. God, I'm an idiot. 3 fingers. I think for a touchdown. Yeah, I think he scored too. Yeah, it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your Monday edition of On This Day. All right, let's get back to these dirty birds. These dirty birds. Today is a Falcons Monday on the One Mike with Big Mike show, and I've decided to do that because usually what happens for me on Sunday, I kind of just sit there and I'll watch the game, the Falcons game, and I just kind of laugh. You know what I mean? I laugh at everything that's going on Twitter. Like guys like my man Matt. It's like every play is like death and dishonor or the best thing ever in life. It's like either one. It's no gray. It's black or it's white. Hell, Matt Ryan is the worst quarterback. There you go, Matt. It's like it happens that quickly, and it's funny as hell to me, man, because I've been dealing with this my whole life. You know, I've lived in Atlanta my whole life. I'm from here, and I've never understood it. You know what I mean? You know, and I as an adult, I realized why, because I never seen, you know, my dad and my uncles and people. My dad didn't care about sports at all. You know what I mean? So I never saw people close to me emotionally react to the sports teams here. You know what I mean? I used to like watching the Falcons. I knew they weren't good, but I thought they were fun. I thought like Jesse Tuggle and Chris Miller and you know, Michael Haynes and them boys and Andre Rison and Dion, I thought they were fun. You know what I mean? They might not win a lot of games, like Jerry Glanville and the All Black. You know, I was like, yeah, this is cool. They ran the run and shoot. You know, that was the worst offense in the history of life. I remember hearing Chuck Smith. Did he tell me this, or did I hear him talk to somebody else about this? It doesn't matter. It's just a funny-ass story about how he feels like he ended Eric Dickerson's career. Because you forget Eric Dickerson was here in Atlanta towards the waning moments of his career. So there's a drill. For those of you who have never played football, there's a drill called the inside drill, where all it is running. It's just it's the defensive line, the linebackers, and the offensive line, quarterback, and the running backs. So it's a running drill, right? You work on your run fits and things of that nature. But here's the thing. If you run the run and shoot, there are two things that aren't on your roster, a fullback and a tight end. So they're running, they're having inside drill, but they have no lead blockers and they have no tight ends. So Chuck Smith is playing defensive end. I think he said he was a rookie, a first-year player or a second-year player, something. He was young. And it's Eric Dickerson, like the great ED in the backfield. And he's coming off the edge, and he's murdering this dude on every single play. And I'm like, really? This is the type of stupid, like, no wonder the team never won. Because stupid stuff like that happened. But moving on here, right? The Atlanta Falcons, the 2015 version. Once I get to this MLQB article, it's pretty funny how they talk about the Falcons in phases. Like, you have the 5-0 first phase Falcons, and now you're in like the 1-4 second phase Falcons. It's a real colorful way of describing what's happening to the team. This Pro Football Focus article, though, let me finish with this as far as the offense goes. It says they're becoming too reliant on Matt Ryan playing mistake-free football, and that's always a danger. You know, you've seen it happen many a time over the years with teams like the Dallas Cowboys, where Tony Romo might make a mistake, but then that mistake gets amplified because of the fact that the team around him has put him in a position where he has to play perfect football for them to even compete. That's wild, man. You know what I mean? That's a wild position to put a quarterback in. That, you know, even guys like Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Where was that? Coop said something earlier that I went, oh, he said fire Leonard Hankerson. Hasn't he been hurt? I think Hankerson's been hurt. As you can tell, I'm not paying attention. But to Mark's point, again, let me put some tangible things around the stuff that you're saying, Mark. So when you go to you guys check out Mark's his Instagram at Hanging with Coop. It's HANGNWITCOOP, like the ironically correct way. He always posts his haircut game, right? So when you're in a barbershop, just Leonard Hankerson, he's the 111th ranked wide receiver. He's dropped 8 passes on just 44 targets. Now, again, put it in perspective. Julio Jones, arguably the best wide receiver in the league, at least one of the top 3. You know what I mean? Because that thing that's going on in Pittsburgh ain't no joke. You know what I mean? That Antonio Brown thing is real, cuz it's real. But compare that to Julio Jones, who's dropped just 6 passes after being targeted 127 times. So as you can see, the drop rate is like crazy off for Leonard Hankerson. Another guy, Roddy White, he's the 102nd ranked wide receiver. And, this one's for Matt. Matt loves to, Roddy's wide open. And while Roddy may eventually get open, like, you got to get open on time. And this Pro Football Focus thing, it definitely describes Roddy White as now a player who's unable to consistently get separation. See, that's a problem, because what you're talking about, when you're talking about consistently being able to separate, you're talking about developing or maintaining that trust with your quarterback. You know what I mean? If you're separating 1 out of every 3 pass plays, it's hard for me as a quarterback to trust you. Matt says, just don't throw picks in the end zone. That's true. There is a reason why, like, Tom Coughlin don't even call it the red zone. He calls it the green zone, because that's where you get your money. That's where you get paid. I'm with all that noise, and you got to be like Matt has to at this point. I'm a staunch Matt Ryan defender. I don't shy away from it. I think Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. I think the other thing that's happening with Matt Ryan right now, there seems to be a maybe too much of a love affair with number 11. And damn it, if you play quarterback, it's hard, man. It'll be hard not to put yourself in that situation, or not to feel like you're in that place. You see what I'm saying? Because the dude is just raw. You know what I mean? It's really no other way to put it. But if you're Matt Ryan, there's got to be you've got to find that healthy median, and then it'll help him out more as well. They do a lot to move Julio around, to get him away from consistent double coverage. Kyle Shanahan does. But this article I was reading today, it talks about, kind of being the offense lacking imagination. Like, at this point in the season right now, this kind of tells on you. At this point, if you have those tells and you have those things that people can know that you're going to run, and they talked about how sometimes, like the Matt Ryan interception against is it the Buccaneers? Roddy White going across the middle. I think it was the Buccaneers. You talk about how you could tell by the way the safety broke on it. He knew it was coming. You know what I mean? Like, it's a trend, and it's a tendency that he trusted from his film study and knew it was coming, and broke on it like there was nothing else happening on the football field. That's a problem. That's where, as a coaching staff, your self-scouting comes into play. Like, you look at the tape, not necessarily, you look at your own tape, not necessarily for what the defense is doing, but okay, how can we redress this route? If this route combination or this particular play works for you, you got to redress it. You know what I mean? You got to put different personnel packages in and run the same action. You gotta let other guys run that route. You know what I mean? So that defense, I always talk about this. The other guys get paid too. You know what I mean? They get paid too. And I think the better teams in the league find a way to scout themselves and not change things up, but just put it in a different outfit. You know what I mean? Let it look different at the outset. Because when you don't, yeah. I remember my boy Corey telling me a long time ago when he went to the league, right? And the first question I asked him, I was like, dude, everybody's always talking about, the speed of the game and whatnot. How fast. He's like, Mike, it ain't people running fast. That's not the speed that they're talking about. He says the reaction time. Like, dudes watch so much film and they study guys' tendencies so well that they react quicker than you've ever seen. That's the speed that people are referring to, not people running 4.3, because the dude I'm talking about, he was a 4.3 guy. So he's like, I could outrun any of these dudes. But knowing what somebody's going to do before they do it in the NFL is priceless. You know, and you see it from a lot of the great ones. You know, the great defense. That's one thing that, like, look at Richard Sherman. Who thinks Richard Sherman is a great athlete? Yeah, I'll hang up and listen. Of course he's not. But you know what Richard Sherman is? He's smart as hell. And he's athlete enough to cover dudes that are better athletes than him, because he understands, one, that defense, and he knows what you're going to do a lot of times before you even do it. It's a big, big advantage, man, once you get to that position. And you know who is who's the next evolution of that? That kid Josh Norman, that kid that's in Carolina, because he's Richard Sherman in size, but much more athletic. You know, and you watch him play, and you watch him diagnose routes and route combinations. You watch him play man and zone, and you understand this kid understands exactly what's happening. He knows exactly what you're trying to do to him, and he's not gonna let it happen. I can't wait to do, because it's like 2 games in like 3 weeks with the Panthers for the Falcons, right? I can't wait for that dude to see Julio Jones. Like, I want that. Like, that matchup is gonna make me smile. Hopefully. You know what I mean? I'm building it all up, and then Julio ends up with like 400 yards in the game. You know what I mean? He's like killing this kid all night long. But back to Matt Ryan. I want to go to this piece I read this morning from one of the friends of the old show, a guy, Michael Cunningham. He works for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution right down here in Atlanta. I think he does a piece called Mike Check, and that was going to be the name of my show for a while till I saw that. See, Matt, already, Julio going to see about this kid. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I want to see it. I just want to see it happen. You feel me? I want to see it play out on the football field. I want to see a good game. You know, either way it goes, something like 27-24. Whoever wins, I don't care. You know what I mean? I just want to see 2 dudes go at it. Like I saw Patrick Peterson and AJ Green going at it last night. Like, I love to see 2 dudes that are at the top of their games and nobody's willing to back down. Like, that's perfect scenario football to me, you know. And I can't wait till Julio Jones sees this kid, or and vice versa. Yeah, it's gonna be on Matt. A lot of it's gonna be on Matt, and a lot of it's gonna be on Kyle too. You know what I mean? Like Matt, you know, you remember back in the day when the 49ers used to come in here, right? Bill Walsh and those boys and George Seifert found ways that Jerry Rice didn't have to see Deion. They motioned him. They put him in the slot. They did a lot of stuff to keep Jerry Rice away from Deion Sanders. See, I think Kyle Shanahan does it like don't make it. Like, for my benefit, I'd love it to be like a mono thing. But no, be smart. Do what you've been doing all year. Move that kid around and then see. You put him in the slot. Julio, you give him a 2-way go. Let's see how good this kid is. Let's see how good this kid Josh Norman is. Because this is his first year really being, a prime-time player with the spotlight's on him. Let's turn it up. Put Julio on the left. Put him on the right. Hell, put him in the backfield. Who did I see in the backfield yesterday? I see A.J. Green in the backfield yesterday. Like Kansas City does it a lot. They do it with Jeremy Maclin. They put him in the backfield and then split the tailback out where the wide receiver would be. Move that cat around, man, and make this kid Josh Norman play football. You know what I mean? It ain't trickery. It ain't you being scared of him. Make him be a football player. Cover the whole field and let's work. Let's go. You know what I mean? And if you lucky, you get some mismatches. You mess around and put Julio in the backfield and then get him on Luke Kuechly. And then watch a grown man cry. Watch that happen. Run it. But Mike Freeman of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, he poses a question that I was waiting for somebody to do it. Like, I didn't want to do it because Matt will tell you, I could be confused for Matt Ryan apologist. You know what I mean? But he asked the question. He asked, "What's wrong with Matt Ryan?" That's the actual title of the piece. And like I've been waiting for like I think a couple of weeks ago it was asked, and Matt kind of just shut it down in the press conference, like, no, I'm fine, everything's good, which is, it's what you expect him to say. But he talks about not only like everyone can look at a football game and see a quarterback make bad decisions, right? The play, the DeQuell Jackson play yesterday, Matt didn't get his head around fast enough off the play fake, and he assumed because this kid was in the A gap and they were backed up on the goal line, he assumed that he was coming. No. The way it was described, DeQuell bit on a play fake, but again, the predictability of the offense told him that once that happens, there's a slant coming my way. So all I gotta do is get my ass back in my zone as quick as possible and look for the football. And that's what he did. You know what I mean? So there's always collective blame to be dispersed in situations. Like in the heat of the moment, you say, oh, damn, Matt, what the hell? Yeah, of course, because he's the guy with the football. He's the guy who threw the football. But then you think about the next day when guys who get paid to break it down, they tell you exactly what happened. And then you look back and see it. Even if you replay it in your mind, you say, okay, yeah, they're right. That's exactly what happened. You know what I mean? That's precisely what happened. So yeah, decisions were made poorly. But this article isn't about decisions. He's talking about the throws themselves, the overthrows, passes that we've seen Matt Ryan hit consistently. Basically, you feel like he could do it with his eyes closed, missing them this year. Wide open Julio Jones on comeback routes. Dudes bailing on the snap, the corners bailing on the snap, and Julio being wide open on comeback, and Matt just airmailing it. You know what I mean? And then he pointed out, like I made a joke about it yesterday, the Hail Mary, that fell like 10 yards short of the end zone from about 50 plus yards away. Just an NFL throw that, like, a couple years ago, like 2 years ago, we saw Matt make essentially the same throw in the waning moments of a football game against the Carolina Panthers. Remember? He threw the ball. He just heaved it, and Roddy White caught it. He heaved it from, like, the end zone. Roddy White caught it on the plus 50, over the 50-yard line. So we've seen him throw the ball pretty damn far. But yesterday, it just didn't make it. You know what I mean? And I can assume that's, well, not assume, but because I'm reading the article, Mike Cunningham basically says, to him, that's evidence that something's wrong with this kid, that he's not able to control the football the way he wants to. He's not able to put, like, we already talking about a dude who ain't got, like, this ain't Joe Flacco or Jay Cutler. This ain't that. But he got a, Tom Brady-esque NFL arm, Eli Manning-ish arm. You know what I mean? He don't throw it through the wall, but it usually gets there. It gets there in plenty of time. But this year, it's been illuminated more in this last couple of weeks here, that it's just not getting there. Even though we look around and Julio did his, what did he have yesterday? 160, 165 yesterday. God, how do you not? I don't know this. How do you not throw it to this dude every single time? That's got to be a very that's got to be like the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder. Like, he open, right? He gonna be open. And then it's like, but you gotta find somebody else. Where's Levine Toy Lolo? Is Roddy getting open this time? And then you got the whole, like, this is how you know things are bad. Like, I don't need this kid Patrick DeMarco catching any touchdowns. He's a fullback. I don't care. Like, you can get excited as you want to. Yeah, that ain't what you're supposed to do. Because when that starts happening, I get worried. You know what I mean? There's too many other options. Your man, Devontae Freeman, got his damn... before we get out of this hour, because I'm just going to continue this conversation. I got plenty of stuff on my notes, but I haven't even got halfway through this Falcon stuff yet. Talking about Dan Quinn, right, and who he is as a coach, I don't want to let this get past anyone. Like, everyone's excited about what Devontae Freeman is able to do and what he's been able to do. But let's not forget, the decision was made early on for Tevin Coleman to be your starting running back. Anybody remember that? Yeah, it wasn't until the fact that he cracked his rib or something that the dude who should have been starting ended up starting and showing you why he should have been starting that made everybody forget that that decision was made. But yeah, that decision was made. And guess what it was? The proof has told you. It's told you it's the wrong damn decision. It's the wrong decision. All the way around. There's nothing right about it. But, everybody, keep on hashtag Quinning. And it's not an indictment on him. You know what I mean? It's an indictment on the lack of wait and see. It's an indictment on just like, all right, we know where he came from, but no one has ever seen him in the capacity that he's in this year, the head coaching capacity. Let's just, pump the brakes and see who he is as a head coach. It's One Mic with Big Mike. I'm Big Mike. Spreaker.com is where the show is being heard, and the Spreaker app for your mobile device. Make sure you guys tell your friends about it. Download that joint.
It's the best of One Mic with Big Mike.
Oh, man. Golly. Guess what happened? My mic was muted, and I apologize for that. I thought I clicked the button, but this mouse is so sensitive that I can click it, and it'll click twice, and it'll mute and unmute. So I guess I got to do that all over again. All right. It's the top of the hour, and I told you guys that I would actually, that I did have a little bit of a revelation, a personal triumph that I experienced this past week, in which I missed Thursday, I missed Friday, and I kind of just took those days to myself. You know what I mean? After I got some news on Thursday, based on some things I had been going through over the last couple of years, and those things, that thing, over the last maybe 3 years or so, I've been dealing with a type of cancer called, abbreviated CTCL, cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. And it's been a lot of ups and lots of downs in the process, a lot of different treatments, from chemos to radiation and things of that nature. And my most recent one kind of took me away from the show we were doing, Rob Calloway and I, the Sports Kings. I thought it was going to take me away for a few weeks. It actually ended up being a few months where I couldn't, of recovery. And I'm still in recovery now. You know what I mean? A lot of weight was dropped, like 45 pounds dropped off of me. And my strength is not really where it was before. So I'm working as far as weights and cardio to get that done. But needless to say, on Thursday, my oncologist gave me a clean bill of health, so everything is where it needs to be, cancer-free to this point. And I do make sure I preface it with saying to this point, because, if anybody out there has ever dealt with this type of situation, these things can return, but right now I'm kind of at that place. I'm not necessarily at a period, but I'm at a semicolon, at a pause, until whatever's next is to be. You know what I mean? I'm bringing this up now because of what happened Thursday, and because I told Rob that, once I got back, at some point that I would do this. You know what I mean? But I wanted to make sure that I had some sort of news. Either I was going to have to continue some sort of treatment, or what just happened, or I guess I didn't tell you guys what happened. The most recent treatment was a stem cell. What is it called? Basically what they do is they kill your immune system and they give you new stem cells, either from a person related to you or from someone who's just a close match, either a total match or a very, very close match to you. I was lucky enough to get someone, not in my family, but someone that was a near identical match to me. Transplant. That's the word I was looking for. Stem cell transplant is what I had. And it shut me down. Oh my God. It whooped my ass for a significant amount of time. I couldn't get out of the bed. I couldn't really do anything. Like right now, I have to stay in the house because my immune system is still being rebuilt. so I can't really leave the house and be around people for fear, especially now that it's flu season, for fear that something externally attacks the new immune system that I have now. But as far as everything else goes, I feel great. I'm doing what I love to do. The fortunate part for me, I guess, is that my business is here at home. The unfortunate part is that I'm now starting to rebuild because, when you're running a one-man operation, not this, but my source of income, it's a one-man operation, and you have to shut that down for 3 months, it's hard because you have clients that move on, and you have to try to get them back. You have to kind of try to use that that loyalty thing to try to get them back. And fortunately, they're coming back slowly but surely. New ones are coming in as well, so that's always a good thing. And life goes on. You know what I mean? Life goes on, and things move. I guess the most important part about everything to me, before I move on to the Ronda Rousey situation, is that the people who care about me, it can put their minds at ease. Like I'm always be all right. Win, lose, or draw, whatever happens is gonna happen. I have, I'm good with life being life. I have this thing I always say that life happens. You know what I mean? Life is gonna happen. Where you're gonna be and what you're gonna be doing while it's happening is another story. But life is gonna happen. But you have people around you like my mom, my dad, my sister, my niece, my wife, my son, people, who care about me. To kind of put their minds at ease is probably the best part of it all for me. All right. Sorry about that. I said all this before, but like I said, I had my mic muted. So, yeah, sucks for me. Now, on to Ronda Rousey. Now, if you guys aren't into MMA or UFC or any of that type of stuff, the fight game, as they call it, you still probably know who Ronda Rousey is, and you probably still know that she got beat up by Holly Holm. Is that what I said before the break? Holly Holm? Well, I'm saying it now. Holly Holm beat her up, and it's one of the biggest upsets, if not the biggest upset in UFC history, and maybe in sports history. I'm not sure. But when I saw the news, I didn't see the fight because I saw her last couple of fights, and I blinked and they were over. So I wasn't really interested in this one. I never heard of Holly Holm, as I can guess the majority of you haven't, unless you're super into girls boxing, which you're probably not. Anyway, all these new people, they just knew it. Hell out of here, man. What I said the next day when everybody else was like, oh, ha, 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 ha. Oh, look at what happened. Oh, ha, good for her. That's what happens when you're not humble. That's not what happens when you're not humble. That's not. You know what I mean? Because if that was the case, she would have got beat up a long time ago. It's the fight game. Muhammad Ali changed the game back then. He turned it into something more than just two people, going after it. It turned into entertainment. And many a person from that point on had picked up that mantle, man, and ran with it. So that whole ideology that, karma, be humble. She didn't, Lady Gaga. That's what happens when you don't touch another person's gloves. Yeah, you're a child. You are a child. You got to shake hands after the game. Shut up. No, you don't. Go home. If you lose and you're mad, you can go home. You have to shake the person's hand who just whooped you. That's ridiculous. If you choose to, fine. But if you don't, there's no skin off my nose. Anyway, so Ronda Rousey got beat. Her first loss in MMA. I believe she was 12-0 before the fight. She's now obviously 12-1. Now, who is Holly Holm? Well, I had to find out for myself. And luckily, Yahoo Sports and what's this guy's name? Kevin Iole provided me with the answer to that question. This chick was a boxer. I just kind of alluded to it. She was a boxer and a kickboxer. And she was only 9-0 in MMA, but this chick is 33-2 as a boxer and 2-1 as a pro kickboxer. She only had 3, which is surprising seeing how that fight ended. You know what I mean? That she only did 3 kicks. I guess she figured out, like, you know what? I can kick the hell out of people. Let me move on up. Let me go and then use the skill. And damn it if she didn't. The funny thing was, I heard Ronda Rousey talking about this fight, and people making jokes about, please just make it last a little bit longer, and she very, very bluntly and not jokingly was like, no, this ain't that chick. She ain't that. She's very tall and long, and her reach is gonna be an issue for me, so I'm gonna have to take my time. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, what's happening here? That's not customary what I'm listening to. Either way, she was right. As I read everything, I didn't see the fight, but I saw the clips from the fight. When I read that, this chick connected on like 72% of her strikes, of her punches, which means like that's almost 3 out of every 4 times she threw a punch, she nailed this broad in the mouth. Goodness gracious, that's a lot. For those of you who don't know, that's a lot. So Ronda Rousey from beginning to end, she inevitably got outclassed. The UFC were big winners. 56,214 people saw this fight live in Australia. Melbourne, Australia is where they were. That's a record for them, beating 55,724. Why did I read that like that? 55,724 people on April 30th of 2011. I might have been at that fight. It was UFC 129. I'm looking for that little thing I had from the fight. That was Bones Jones and Rashard Evans. Me and Rob went to that fight, and I would every time I talk about this stuff, I'm going to be a proponent and suggest that if you have a chance to see one of these things live, go. It is ridiculous. And like the fact that Ronda Rousey lost, and what do boxing fans always say? Styles make the fight, right? Styles. And Holly Holmes got Ronda Rousey, from what I'm understanding and reading and saw, to fight her fight. Like Ronda Rousey wants to go to the ground, armbar you, and get it over with. This shit was like, nah, what we gonna do tonight? We gonna box. We gonna sit up here and throw blows. If you can't hang, yeah, you gonna be laying down sleeping. And she was. Bust her face up real good from the beginning of the fight. Broke her nose at the very beginning, and then had, like, if you saw any of the pictures or any of the videos, her mouth open, yeah, that's because she couldn't breathe out of her nose. It was broken. Yeah, busted her lip to the point where she had to have a plastic surgeon come fix her lip. Yeah, she whooped that girl's ass. She did that. Now, and I want to make sure I say it that way, because I want to make sure I give her all the credit. I want to be like these people who are, these people who hate greatness. Like Ronda Rousey's still great. Let's not get it twisted. She's still great. And the thing that I tweeted after the fight, or the next morning, was like, this is the woman who at one point, speaking of Ronda Rousey, I'm looking at her commercial right now, her Reebok commercial, which might have been a problem too. Nobody wear no damn Reeboks. Anyway, I tweeted that this is a person, a female, who has dedicated her like every waking moment to her craft since the time she was a preteen or a teenager. If you heard her story, like her mom's a judo champion as well. Used to just rush in the room while she was sleeping, like put her in the chokehold and force her to break out of it. Like some wild stuff. And that all changed here in the last, recently, where she's gone from being this fighter, this ultra focused fighter, to having to disperse her focus amongst other things. We saw it happen with Rampage Jackson. He started doing movies, A-Team, and all this kind of stuff. And the next thing you know, was getting his ass whooped. That other kid, Antonio Tarver, and well, he was on drugs too, but I guess because he got popped for it a couple times. But he was in like the Rocky movie. Next time out, ass kicking. You know what I mean? Like with her, she's done, Fast and the Furious and Entourage and these things. And she's about to do a remake of Jailhouse? One of those movies that, a lot of white people like that I've never seen. Roadhouse, I think it's called. Roadhouse. That she's a spokesperson. She's a model now. All these things take time. They're only 24 hours in a day. Only. So going from someone who it seemingly was gym. My main focus is beating the hell out of the next person that I see in that octagon. To okay, now I got to be here. I got to be on Jimmy Fallon. I got to be on Oprah. I got to be on this. Oprah don't even come on no more. Sorry, but I got to be on this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this commercial. At some point, your focus is gonna wane, and this seemed like a situation for her. Now it's time to refocus. Now I don't know that means like Dana White, the president of the UFC, he says there's gonna be a rematch. The next fight will be a rematch. Now I don't know if that means that Ronda Rousey's gonna, even after she refocuses, if she can beat Holly Holm. Don't know. Apparently, Layla Ali knows. Like washed up athletes, stop talking. You know what I mean? Stop. If you're a real champion, you don't lose. Well, your dad lost. What the hell are you talking about? Like, and everybody considers him the greatest. Like, people just open their mouths. Like, the TMZ guy asked Layla Ali, was she surprised? Nope, not me. I know Holly Holm. I know she's a champion. Shut up. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Because Vegas got hit pretty hard off this fight. How much money did Layla Ali put on Holly Holm? If she was that confident, like, if I'm that confident in somebody, I'm going to put a couple G's on it. This dude won like $50,000 on a $48,000 on a $5,000 bet. That's good money. And I don't even think something like that you do because you think Holly Holm is going to win. It's like the Floyd Mayweather thing. He's so favored. Like, the best thing to do is to bet on the other person. Like Rob says he does that. Anytime Floyd fights, he always bets on the other person. Because if it does come through, yeah, you sit nice. You don't bet on Floyd. Who's going to bet on Ronda Rousey? So now, UFC is going to... I was surprised no one brought this up yesterday on Twitter. Like the hardcore Ronda Rousey fight, and I'm not sure no one did. Someone may have, but I didn't see it. That, the fix might have been in. She threw the fight. I mean, that's a hell of a throw because she got her ass like lit up. Like her face was like mushed. I think she got some teeth knocked out, the whole nine. So if you threw that, yeah, you should have let Holly Holm know you was throwing it, so that she wouldn't have done what she did. Let's see, we got like 4 minutes. Let me. What else? She says, she's gonna take some time off. Which, by the way, from my understanding, Ronda Rousey, by the way, she said she had planned on taking some time off before this fight happened. And see, that's another thing. Like, once you start doing that, you're like planning what you're going to do already after the fight, before the fight. I don't know. The focus, man, I don't know if it's there. They wanted to compare this to Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. And I can see that. Someone that we've never seen someone be that dominant within this sport, man or woman. Like, Mike Tyson was knocking dudes out first round every time. Bam, bam, bam. And so then when Buster Douglas got a hold of that ass and was like jabbing that ass to death, and the next thing you know, Mike is like trying to pick up the mouthpiece and his eye, that iconic picture of his eyes closed, not because he was blinking either, or he closed them, it was swole shut, and the mouthpiece trying to like find it and put it in his mouth, and it was weird, So I could see the comparison in that aspect. And speaking of Mike Tyson, here's Holly Holm. I guess this is her quote before the fight. Ronda has never been hit hard enough to throw her off her game, end quote. Now, you wonder why I compare that to Mike Tyson, because it's kind of along the lines of the old Mike Tyson. Everybody got a game plan till they get hit in the damn mouth. Yeah. That's probably the most intelligent, most insightful thing Mike Tyson has ever said. And I'm not even playing. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not joking. I'm being dead ass serious, man. And that seemed to be what happened, man. That I saw another article today. It talked about how Ronda Rousey, her lust for greatness, you understand? It forced her to do what she shouldn't have done. Like when everyone's talking to her leading up to the fight about Holly Holm's reach and her punching ability and, her boxing style or whatever. This is a judo chick. So she wants to make you believe that I can beat somebody in any style. Now, I don't know how true this is, but this is coming from somebody who covers the sport. And, going into the fight with the mentality that I'm going to beat her at her own game so everybody sees how great I am. And like people become, in situations like this, people become body language experts, and they talk about her body language going into the fight, how different it was, how like she kind of melted down at the weigh-in, and then she started cursing at this chick and calling her a fake bitch and this, that, and the other. And it was very, uncharacteristic of someone who, when you gonna whoop somebody, you really don't need to do all that. I don't think. And then what transpired. And now Ronda Rousey's lost one match. And all the people who have all these theories, Donald Trump, she's a bad person. How do you know? Because she said she wouldn't vote for you? You're an idiot too. Lady Gaga, and I already talked about her, and Layla Ali, and these people talk about, that's what happened when you're not humble. Shut up. You're ridiculous. No, she got beat by a better fighter. You know what I mean? Her style was better, than Ronda Rousey, Holly Holmes, I mean. And she said she did everything she planned on doing. She stuck to her game plan. She kept herself calm. She didn't get overwhelmed by the crowd or by the person she was fighting. She just fought her fight. And her training took over. Yeah, big up to her, man. Shout out to Holly Holm, the brand new UFC women's bantamweight champion. I wish I could do it like Michael Buffer's brother does it. He's a maniac, boy. He kind of makes the fights too, by the way. Like how amped he is when he announces these dudes. I'm not even going to do it, man, because I got people in the house with me and all that. Nah, I ain't going to do it.